Good evening, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to yet again another group analysis session. In tonight's session, we're going to be covering the Canadian dollar against the Swiss franc on the 4-hour time frame. So we'll be talking through the main points of this chart analysis. But firstly, I just want to say well done to everyone who contributed their charts earlier this evening. It seems you all have covered the main aspects of the analysis, pretty much the most important buy and selling opportunities, so very well done for that. It's very promising. But anyway, without further ado, let's get into the analysis. So first things first, we're on the 4-hour time frame. We've got a blank chart besides from these moving averages. But what we'll do is by zooming out like this, it will give us the bigger perspective of how price has been moving over the last couple of months. So where price is dating back to on this chart is, well, at the end of December. So we're seeing a good 4 months worth of price movement. We can see for the most part, price was pretty stagnant and it was stuck within this range here, pretty much moving side to side until more recently we have seemed to break out, creating a bit of an uptrend here. Although at this period in time, we can see that again, we're almost having a replication of what happened back here. So price is pretty much moving sideways. So we'll start off by adding in our levels of support and resistance. So key ceilings and floors on the chart where price seems to be getting stuck at. So automatically I can see that this has been a bit of a sticking point for CADCHF. We can see that price has stalled around this zone previously, and now price is above. It seems to have stalled once again. So we're going to take our box tool and we're basically going to link up these previous highs here and drag it all the way across the screen to get our zone. So we can see right here, dating back to the 12th of Jan, this price zone was acting as a ceiling. So we had the first touch, price came up again, second touch rejected, third touch rejected, until finally on the 15th of March 2022, price broke out. And since price was then above, this same zone then acted as a floor. Price rejected higher. Next time it came down into this zone, rejected once again, and then where price is currently beginning to reject again. So this is a very significant level of previous resistance now turned support. We can also see that the 200 moving average, so this yellow line, which acts as a very strong floor or a ceiling depending on whether it's above or below price, we can see that that is actually sat just underneath current price right now, acting as a floor, which coincides very nicely with this box zone, which again is acting as a floor. We can see we've had one touch, multiple touches around here, and then again another third more significant touch here. So we've got two sort of floor regions lining up here, suggesting that price could pop a little bit higher up. But obviously we want to stack up as many reasons as possible to either buy or sell and then make our minds up once we've got a full chart. So now we've found this significant support and resistance zone, the next thing we'll start looking for is maybe trends or channels. So we can see that over this sort of period of time, price has been in a bit of an uptrend. So we'll take the trend line tool here and we'll link up from these lows and sort of draw this diagonally across the screen to see if it lines up with anything. So we'll take this low from here, we'll link it up to the next most significant low, which was here, and we'll drag this right across to see if we get it to line up with anything. And what we can see here, if we just tighten this up a little bit, if I zoom in, we can make it as precise as possible. So we've got the first touch, we've got the second touch, we've got the third touch there. We could maybe make that a little bit tighter. That is probably the best representation because we're having the most accurate sort of pinpoint touches across these three lows here as they're getting higher. So higher low, and then the next higher low here. So we have this now ascending trend line stacking up in the same region as previously mentioned, the 200 moving average and this level of support. So we've got three things pointing to a buy from this zone. So it's looking pretty good for potential buying opportunities from here, which we may see into the early morning of tomorrow. But now obviously we've got all of that. We need to start finding more regions for potential trades. So we'll start looking for more levels of support and resistance. So we can see round here is obviously a bit of a sticking point for price. So we'll take the box tool and we'll start linking up all of these and try and make it as precise as possible. So something along these lines like so. So now we know that if price does eventually get to this price point, we could potentially be looking for buys, since price was getting stuck at this when price was below. So multiple times across this region, it was acting as a ceiling. Price was being forced down, forced down, forced down, forced down, until eventually price broke above to the next ceiling, was forced down, and then since it was above this previous ceiling, it then acts as a floor. So if price was to come lower down into this previous ceiling zone, we could be looking for potential buys from that back up to the next region too. So now we've got that zone in, that's pretty good. And then we'll look to see if we can see any zones up here, which automatically I can see that this point in particular has acted as another ceiling. So we'll take the box tool once again, we'll link up these highs like so, and now we have in a couple of regions where we'll be looking for buys and sells from. So the first significant zone is obviously where price is at currently, where we have multiple things stacking up in the same region. We have the ascending trend line, we have the 200 moving average, this yellow line, we have this previous level of resistance which is now turned to a support floor. So this could be our first buying zone. Our next sort of area of interest for a trade would be this zone here, where price has been stuck at so many times before, despite these breakthroughs. In fact, we could even possibly add in a bit of a descending trend line like so, because we've had the high's been lower, the next high's lower as well. So lower high, and extend this across something like this. Although I don't think this will play too much of a factor in the price, but we can add it in anyway and see how price reacts around it. But this will be the next zone to potentially start selling from, so we can wait to see price move up into this region next, and then we can look to see how it reacts and then potentially sell it back down into this zone. If price does in fact break where it is currently and breaks back through this zone and this trend line, the next sort of area of support would be this zone right here. So as price nears this zone, we could then be looking for buys from this support floor back up to the next ceiling here, which we could then take a sell from. So as you can see, over the next couple of days, or this week in particular, we should have quite a few opportunities on just this currency pair alone to take some trades. So I hope that's cleared up how you would dissect these charts and how you pretty much break it down from start to finish. Well done again for those of you who've contributed your charts. Really, really great to see. I look forward to trading with you all tomorrow, and I look forward to the rest of the week.